It stands as the tallest exchange building in the world, situated in New York. Yet, 100 years ago, this very structure bore witness to the worst economic recession in American history, a crisis that left millions jobless and plunged the entire nation into poverty. Families were forced to part with their possessions just to survive. America found itself desperate for a savior to lead it out of this Great Depression. But did such a savior emerge? What compelled America to implement a nationwide ban on the sale of liquor? And how did this prohibition fuel the rise of powerful mafias? Who was Chicago's Robin Hood, a figure whose infamous legacy endures to this day? I am the Storyteller King, and in this official series, America's Darkest Era, the 18th Amendment's Sinister Legacy, Season 1, we will explore these gripping tales. In 1918, America had emerged victorious from World War I. Soldiers, weary from the horrors of war, returned home only to be met with shocking news. The sale and production of liquor were now banned in the United States. This sweeping prohibition was enshrined in the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Effective January 16, 1919, the amendment prohibited the manufacture, transportation, and importation of alcohol. As it came into force, bars across the country were compelled to discard their liquor stocks. Signs outside shops and clubs proclaimed the absence of alcohol, deterring hopeful patrons. But America did not arrive at this point by chance. The Prohibition movement had been building momentum for decades. Two prominent organizations, the Women's Christian Temperance Union and the Anti-Saloon League, spearheaded the campaign. Women across the nation rallied for prohibition, arguing that alcohol consumption led to domestic violence, financial ruin, and even suicide, devastating families and leaving wives and children to suffer. Meanwhile, liquor manufacturers and sellers grew wealthy at society's expense. Striking posters emerged, depicting women and children demanding an end to alcohol while painting liquor barons as villains driven by greed. Some posters showed women, portrayed as knights, destroying barrels of liquor. Others featured children pleading with their fathers to abandon drinking for their sake. This powerful movement succeeded in banning alcohol in several states during the 19th century, with Illinois implementing such a ban as early as 1855. Even Abraham Lincoln, a revered figure in American history, supported this cause. The momentum continued through World War I, with campaigners using the slogan, "Vote Dry," to garner support. This movement culminated in the passage of the 18th Amendment. To enforce the prohibition, the Bureau of Prohibition was established, tasked with seizing and disposing of illicit alcohol. However, the ban had unintended consequences. Instead of reducing crime, prohibition gave rise to an underground network controlled by powerful mafias. These criminal empires waged bloody battles, known as the Beer Wars, to dominate the illicit alcohol trade. One figure loomed large above all others: Al Capone, also known as Scarface. Born in 1899 to a poor New York family, Capone relocated to Chicago in 1919, the year Prohibition began. By his early 20s, he had risen to lead the Chicago Outfit, a formidable criminal organization. Capone's ruthlessness knew no bounds. On Valentine's Day in 1929, his associates, disguised as police officers, executed 7 members of a rival gang in what became known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Capone's influence extended to public officials and politicians, including Chicago Mayor William Thompson. Despite his criminal activities, Capone cultivated an image as a generous benefactor, earning him the nickname Robin Hood of Chicago by providing free meals for the poor during the Great Depression. Yet Capone's reign came to an end, not through police action, but via tax evasion charges. In 1931, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Released early due to health issues, Capone spent his final years in seclusion, passing away in 1947. His demise marked the end of an era, though the underworld's grip on American society persisted. Prohibition also had other devastating effects. Corruption ran rampant, even reaching the White House, where alcohol confiscated by authorities was reportedly served at gatherings. Additionally, the production of substandard, often toxic liquor posed significant health risks. As these issues mounted, public sentiment shifted. The same streets that once echoed with "Vote Dry" now bore signs reading, "We want beer." The movement to repeal prohibition gained traction, with advocates arguing that legalizing alcohol would generate tax revenue, create jobs, and stimulate the economy. Amid this changing tide, Franklin D. Roosevelt emerged as a beacon of hope. Campaigning on a platform that included economic recovery and repealing prohibition, Roosevelt won the 1932 presidential election in a landslide. Once in office, Roosevelt took decisive action. The 21st Amendment, ratified in 1933, repealed the 18th Amendment, ending prohibition and marking the first time in U.S. history that a constitutional amendment was overturned. The nation celebrated as bars reopened and liquor flowed freely once more. The repeal also provided much-needed tax revenue, helping to address the economic challenges of the Great Depression. Roosevelt's leadership extended far beyond the repeal of Prohibition. Through his New Deal policies, he revitalized the American economy, creating jobs and restoring hope. Projects like the construction of Mount Rushmore and the Grand Coulee Dam stand as enduring symbols of this transformative era. As we reflect on America's darkest era, the lessons of the 18th Amendment's sinister legacy remain starkly relevant. What steps did Roosevelt take to lead America out of the Great Depression? And how did the nation transition from this economic turmoil to becoming a global superpower? Join us in the next episode of America's Darkest Era, the 18th Amendment's Sinister Legacy, Season 2, where we delve deeper into these pivotal moments in history. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe to Storyteller King for more stories that bring history to life.